Children, Sairam. Today we shall proceed with the next part of our history lesson number 6, that is empowerment of women and other weaker sections, part 3. In the first two parts, children, we have learnt about how women have contributed in order to bring about to stop all the ill practices that were going on in the society, and it helped in the upliftment of women. Even the women from weaker sections of the society have greatly contributed, and under the leadership of women leaders like Dr. Phul Renu Guha, Pandita Pramila Dandavate, so accordingly we could see that various committees and organizations were formed which would fight for the women's rights. So we are now going to further study about the various laws that were enacted for women. So when we talk about the laws for women, the law enacted in 1952, it recognized women's rights in alimony, right to alimony and their share in the father's property. So if a woman, she is divorced by her husband, then the husband will have to give some share of his income to her as an alimony. So that is called as an alimony, that is a compensation. Okay, and their share in father's property. So even if a girl is married, then also she will have a equal share in father's property. Then her right to Stridhan was recognized. Now what is Stridhan? Stridhan is nothing but the gold or whatever she takes from her father's side during her marriage to her in-laws family, that is belonging to the girl only. So that is her property, that is her Stridhan, and nobody can just take it away from her. Okay, so suppose if due to any case if she has been divorced, then she can bring it back from there. Okay, so that was also recognized. Polygamy was made illegal, and women, just like men, got the right to sue for divorce. So polygamy was made illegal. So not only the men but even the women can fight for their rights, and if they are not, if they have facing any domestic violence or any trouble in the in-laws family, they can also fight and they can also file a case for divorce. It is not only the men could do so. It was a law that took one step forward concerning women's issues over the following decade. So it was because of this law that could see that various issues related to women came in the forefront, and accordingly the laws were formed. The Dowry Prohibition Act of 1961 made both giving and taking of dowry a cognizable criminal offence. So the Dowry Prohibition Act was passed in 1961, and accordingly it was considered to be an offence to give and even to take dowry. Okay, then this dismantled the dowry tradition by its roots and further encouraged the social movement. So because of this act, the dowry tradition had come to an end. So if the case would be filed, then they would have to pay for it. So as a result, people stopped asking for dowry, as even the girls were equally getting educated, right? So they can even file a case if anybody does so, and even giving a dowry is also an offence. The law alleviated the distress to women caused by the undesirable tradition of dowry. So again, this law, because of this law, it came in the forefront in the society, the problems the women had to face because of dowry. Sometimes in some cases, if they belong to a poor family, the girl's father, but he wants his daughter to get married, for that he would either sell his property or take a loan from somewhere, and then it would be difficult for them to repay it. Okay, then the Maternity Benefit Act, which gave women the right to get leave from work at the time of childbirth, also came into force in 1961. So Maternity Benefit Act, so when a woman during the birth of a child, if she is a working woman, then she would be given a leave, and that would be payable leave, and wherein as a rest. So it was because of this Maternity Benefit Act that she would be paid for that, and she can rest for either 3 months or 6 months, accordingly the leave sanctioned by the government. Okay, so it came into force in 1961. Now because of these all rights which were being enacted, there was an awareness created in the society. So even because of this Dowry Act, awareness against the dowry tradition was created in the society. So awareness against the dowry, even after the enactment of the anti-dowry law, incidents like women's burns to death, women burns to death as sari pallu catches fire while cooking, and women slips into well while washing clothes, drowns and dies, continued to be reported. See children, even after the laws were passed, but there were some people in the society would not pay heed to it, and accordingly they would commit such crimes, and they would give an excuse like it was an accidental death. Okay, so this was more prominent during that time, and so awareness was created in the society that this also is happening, because people want to skip away from the punishment, so they might create the crime and they would give it as a feeling of accidental death. Okay, then investigations still reveal dowry to be the most frequent cause of such deaths. The role of the police, the administration and judiciary were highlighted. This created greater awareness. So in such cases we need to be very much aware, and we need to go to the root cause of the incident, what happened. So investigations would be done, and accordingly the police, the administration and judiciary were highlighted in this, and because of this what happened, whatever would be the truth would come into the reality to the people, and then those people would be punished for the crime. So in this way awareness was created. As a result, the Dowry Prohibition, that is Amendment Act, came into force in 1984. So in 1984, Dowry Prohibition Amendment means there were changes were done, and this act in 1984. In 1988, 2,209 women died victim to the dowry tradition. In 1990, the number of dowry deaths was 4,835, and in 1993, it was 5,377. These numbers will impress upon you the seriousness of the issue. So we can see, instead of decreasing, the number was going on increasing. Okay, even today in the society, being educated also, we still find there are such cases happening. Okay, so we need to be aware of such things. Out of differences within marriage and domestic problems, as well as issues such as alimony, single parenthood, separation, care of children and ownership, which are all related to the family situations. So it is not only the dowry, but there are other cases like alimony. As I explained you, what is alimony? Wherein an equal share is given by the husband to his wife after divorce. Then single parenthood. So if there is a child, then that parent had to take care, one single parent had to take care of that child. Then care of children and ownership. Even these issues are also related to the family situation. These family courts give priority to mutual understanding over witnesses and evidences, and to counselors over lawyers. So most of the time it has been thought about not to solve the case by not getting the couple to be separated, but they try either doing by counseling, or they just ask for some proofs or evidences, and also they try to make them understand and try to adjust with each other, so that the child should not suffer. Emphasis on resolving issues quickly but justly, trial involving alimony in 1985. So most emphasis was given on solving the issues quickly, and there should be justice done to that. Then a fixed amount paid to a married woman for her upkeep by the husband who has divorced her is called alimony. So I have already explained you what is alimony. So in the case of Muhammad Ahmad Khan versus Shah Banu Begum, the Supreme Court gave the verdict that Shah Banu Begum had the right to alimony. So especially in cases of Muslim women, it happens that they now also, there was recently the struggle was going on that they can also file a case for divorce. So accordingly, this case of Muhammad Ahmad Khan and Shah Banu, so here it was a decision was given that Shah Banu also had the right to alimony. However, religious organization protested vociferously against the verdict. So against the decision, the religious organizations, they protested. As a result, the Muslim Women's Protection of Rights and Divorce was passed by the parliament. So even for the women's, the act was passed by the Muslim Women's Act for the protection of rights and divorce. Now, Protection of Human Rights Act. In 1993, this law was enacted to prevent injustice done to men and women. So now here we are talking about human rights, so wherein both men and women are considered. The National Human Rights Commission was also formed for this purpose. In some states, the State Human Rights Commission was also formed on the same lines. And this law, which deals with collective oppression, the social conditions of divorced women, women and secure workplaces, then played an effective role in mitigating injustice to women. But still, children, even after these laws are being enacted, we in the present situation, so many cases, if you must be currently listening to the news about, just take an example of Nirbhaya, and there are many other recently happened cases, we find that the women's are still not secured. So as a future generation, it is up to you that you need to create an awareness in the society. So now children, here we end up with the third part of our lesson. We shall proceed with the next part in our next class. Till then, thank you children.